All right, guys. So listen, one of the things that I'm really excited about is the book I wrote called Punch Me in the Face. It helps people with no experience, don't matter where you came from, helps you understand some life lessons you definitely need to freaking know. I promise you, help change your life. PunchMeInTheFace.com. Get your copy. I promise you, it'll give you a different perspective, business, life, entrepreneurship, how to push through. I wrote him a $250,000 policy, whatever day of the week it was. 2 days later, he dies on a motorcycle accident. He's driving to work, 30s. This animal runs out in front of me, lays the bike down, hits his head, dies instantly. She's still alive. She gets $250,000. His work policy was $5,000. I was going to do $5,000. Gave her $250,000, and a few months later, she died.
What's up, world? Welcome back to the Tuned In with Tony podcast, and I've got an amazing guest on the show, a guest that would actually be very different because most of our guests on here are course creators doing webinars, but this is a big guest and something that I feel like I'm very interested in because my mom is an insurance agent for State Farm, so I hear a lot about insurance and life insurance, and I just feel like a lot of people don't know about life insurance. So we've got a heavy hitter who's going to be able to break down all the benefits, the cash benefits, the life benefits, all the things that you guys need to know when it comes to life insurance. And that's Shawn Meaike from Family First Life. What's up? How you doing, Shawn?
What's up, man? How are you?
Man, I'm good. So thanks for coming to the show.
Thank you for having me, man.
From Florida?
Yes, sir.
All the way from Florida. So I want to get straight into it. What exactly do you do?
So at Family First Life, I got in the insurance business 14 years ago.
Okay.
And I got in the insurance business purely because I was looking to make some extra money outside of what I was doing, right? Like, not that deep. I didn't know anything about it. And the only reason I was attracted to business was leads. Like, I've been in sales since I've been 18.
Right.
But I sell with leads. I go cold call. You stupid.
Yeah.
I sell with leads.
Yeah.
I like time. I like my return on my investment. I want to control my time. So I saw leads in 2008. And Middle American, it was what's called mortgage protection, which was term life insurance with return of premium.
Right.
And I said to the guy, wait a minute, you mean they have the term, they pay it 15, 20, 30 years, but if they don't die in that period, they get their money back. He's like, they get 100% their money back. And I was like, dude, are you sure?
Yeah.
Because I've done some stuff, like looked into them, and like, that can't be legal. And he's
Right.
like, no, it's sure. The insurance company makes some money on it. Life is good. So that's what I sold in 2008. I was like, they had leads. I started calling them up. It was easy. I made some money. It was cool. I worked there about 5 years. Then I went and launched my own company,
Right.
Family First Life. And we very much, there's hundreds of millions of Americans, right?
Right.
The vast majority of people, depends on what study you read, admit 70 some odd percent, I don't have enough for any life insurance. So I'm like, all right, 70% of hundreds of millions of people is a lot.
Yeah.
Right. So I like supply, demand, what's out there. And we work in that marketplace. So most of our products are return to premium term insurance or simplified issue whole life, which is final expense. A lot of folks call it final expense. Burial coverage depends where you're from. You're above the age of 50, under the age of 89.
Yeah.
And you're like, hey, man, I'm going to die. And I want somebody to pay for my funeral. And I don't want it to be my brother, my mom, or, well, you're 89, you can be your mom. But, what I mean? I want to be somebody else. And, the marketplace for me, Tony, was I loved it because nobody ever came to my mom's apartment and tried to sell us anything. And everybody in my family growing up died with no life insurance. Like I got to be like 18, 19, 20. I didn't ever even know anybody that had life insurance.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, I didn't have my first life insurance policy until I got my life insurance license. I already had 2 kids. I had no life insurance, which is mind-boggling because I was like the primary bread earner, if you will, or winner,
Right.
and I didn't have any. So it's amazing what people don't know about it and what the misconceptions are. Most people think it's more expensive than it is. They think it's more complicated to get, and it's not. Matter of fact, we live in what they call simplified issue life insurance. So there's 2 different ways to get life insurance. You can apply for life insurance policy, go through blood work, urine analysis, EKG, you name it. Or you could get a simplified issue policy where they ask you medical questions, but they do no exams. They're going to run a check, your MIB, your pharmaceutical stuff. But if you pass that, you get approved. And that I was interested in because A, it's instantaneous.
Yeah.
And B, a lot of people just don't want to go through that hassle. And especially now, post-COVID, you realize like people didn't want to do it before.
Right.
You couldn't even get people to come out after COVID to meet with anybody, let them come to their house. So it's
Right.
been an amazing run, man. It's been awesome to run it. Awesome sales organization. I'm in business with really awesome people.
Got you. So before we get into just how you built such a massive company, because I want to know that.
Yeah.
How do you just break down the barrier where people are like, why do I even need life insurance? Like they know why, but they're like, it's not benefiting me right now.
So I like to sell, and I enjoy it. And I sold life insurance for years before I ran the company. And the thing for me, Tony, like you have a wife?
Yeah, I do.
You got kids?
No kids.
Okay. So does your wife work?
No.
Okay, so it's just you.
Yeah.
So if you didn't have life insurance, it'd be completely asinine, right? It'd actually probably be the most selfish thing you could ever do. So the thing about life insurance is it's an emotional sale.
Yeah.
And I think what you do is, first of all, everybody knows they're going to die.
Yeah.
The problem with most people is they don't want to deal with their mortality.
Right.
Like, that's the issue. And the way I tended to sell it was like, Tony, if I get you a policy today and it comes in 3 or 4 days and you put it in a drawer, dude, I hope if it's return to premium, you get all your money back, or I hope if it's final expense, you die at 102 years of age.
Right.
But at the end of the day, we have to deal with the fact that she ain't going to be here forever.
Right.
And it's also really, really freaking selfish. You had a guy one day and he goes, well, I don't care about anybody. You know, why would I care about life insurance? He was 79 years old. And I said, let me ask him, you talk to your kids? He goes, not really. I said, okay. So he's just a bitter, angry old man.
Right.
And I said, so you're going to die. And all they're going to do at your funeral is talk shit about your broke ass not having life. That's exactly what I said, not having life insurance. And he looked at me and he goes, I said, you want to give them that satisfaction? He said, I'll buy it. And he bought it.
Dang.
So everybody moves for different reasons. What's important to them. You know, sometimes they want to leave money behind. You start talking to them about their grandkids, how your kid's doing. They're not in the greatest position. You know, I've had single guys who are like, I don't have anybody. You have a sister or brother? I have a sister. Okay, cool. Does she have kids? Yes. Is she married? No, she's divorced. Does she do well? Not really. Okay, so why would you not take out a policy for her and her kids?
Yeah.
Like, okay, you're single, got it. You don't have a wife, no kids, got it. What about her?
Yeah.
Did you let people pick on her when you were growing up? No, I would have kicked their ass. Then why don't you stick up for her now? So it's challenging people where they need to be challenged, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, it's the most selfless thing you'll actually do. You're buying something that pays out when you're gone.
Yeah.
And I think you need to challenge people's selfishness.
Got to. And as you being a salesperson, that's awesome because you're hitting the pain point, right?
Correct, 100%.
And I'm always seeing like, why would you want to be on GoFundMe? Like your family's struggling. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just like.
Well, most people don't have the courage. The thing for me is I learned a few simple statements, and I think anything you sell, you should be doing this. First one, I always asked for, you know, do I have permission to be honest with you? I asked all my clients that no matter what I sold forever because it puts them at ease. Yeah. And then I also, with all due respect, if I was going to say something to piss you off, I'd be like, hey, with all due respect, you and I both know what's going to happen. You know, or where is she going to live if you die? Where's he going to live? Where are your kids going to live? You know, I had a guy one day said to me, really sobering, he was in his 20s, kids were young, and I was like, man, where are your kids going to live if you die with no life insurance? And he said, where I grew up. And I said, do you want them to live there? He's like, hell no. I'm like, then what are we talking about? And I think a lot of times it's helping people understand how ludicrous it is to pay for their cell phones and everything else and not have life insurance.
Let's just break down how much does life insurance cost for the normal person.
It depends on the age. So if you were, you know, if you were 30 years old and you wanted a couple $100,000 in coverage and you're in decent health and you want to get all your money back, man, it could cost you 50, 60, 70 bucks a month. Yeah. But you're like, now if it's 70 bucks a month and it's 840 a year, you get all that back, like every penny. And then if you get final expense life insurance in your 50s and 60s, it's pretty darn cheap. Right. You know, and now the older you get it, the more expensive it is. If your health is bad. Yeah. But I think that's the other thing, too. People say, well, I'm not going to get it because of my poor health. That's exactly why you need to get it. Right. I mean, I used to always say, if I ran the insurance company, I wouldn't insure you. Right. Because you have way too many medical issues. They're willing to insure you. Take advantage of their money. It makes sense. And also, you know, I wouldn't raise any money. Wealthy people have used life insurance for years to help protect their legacy. They've manipulated it, and that's not a bad thing. Like, they understand the laws, the tax benefits, all that. So I wanted to help flood the middle American market with, because what's usually the biggest devastator, you know, I was reading this article probably in 2009. They said the biggest cause of foreclosures was death or disability. Yeah. So it's one of those things where I think for me, it's understanding that we're really, really, Tony, in a place where you're selling something that sells itself. And those are the businesses I've always been in, things that are staples and people have to have. But it's not near as expensive as people think. And also, if you were older and you wanted more and it was $150 a month. Right. Well, dude, it's your family. Right, it's your family. It's your family. Mm-hmm. So, like, could you go make an extra $2,000 a year? Right. Yeah, then don't care what you got to do for a job. Go do it so you have the money to take care of your family. Got you. So what's the big, I always hear when you touched on it, term and whole life. I was talking to my friend and he was like, do you got term or do you have whole? Like, can you break that down for the audience? So how old are you? 32. Okay. So, I mean, if you have a policy, you'd have term life insurance, you'd have some kind of indexed universal life. For you to get a whole life policy your age would actually really make a lot of sense because you get smaller face amount. Okay. And then you're paying for it. Right now, your needs are larger because you got a wife. If you end up having kids, your house, you haven't been in it that long. So your debt is bigger as you're younger. The concept is when you get older, you shouldn't need as much life insurance. You know,
Right.
kids get older. Maybe you paid your house off. You've worked for 30 years. You have some retirement. So you have term when you're younger. And a lot of times those policies will convert to a whole life policy. But if you're above the age of 50, you're probably looking at a whole life policy. And if you're under the age of 50, you're probably looking at a term. Depends on what you're looking to cover. Now, if you're 45 years old and you're like, hey, I just want to take care of my funeral,
Yeah.
then you might buy a whole life policy for 20, 25 grand.
Gotcha.
But at your age, term policy. There's some amazing index universal life policies that work if you're in good health, and you can, they're not, people sell things a lot of times in a way they shouldn't sell them. You're not going to get rich from doing it. You're not your own bank forever. And they try to mess with you, dude. It's like, it is nice. You have a policy. It definitely will show you some cash value. Contingent upon the market. There's still a cost of insurance in there. It's still your money that you're taking back out that you can truly borrow against a policy. But at the core, that's what I think confuses people, because confused people don't buy anything, right? They don't know what to do. So I think I break it down that simple. How old's a client? 33. You talk to them about a term policy. Talk about it. And a term with return to premium makes all sense in the world to me. Because if you bought a policy at 30 for 30 years, you're hoping to be alive at 60. And statistically, you're going to be alive.
Right.
So why would you not want to get a check for every dollar back you paid into your policy?
Exactly.
Because then technically, like, they just gave you back the money you had, and the entire time they're like, hey, Tony, you have $250,000 to pay for your death, and you didn't die. Cool, here's all your money back. So, there's term, there's whole life, there's index universal life. There's definitely some other more intricate policies and stuff that people use, but the core of what you see out there and the core of what we do is term and whole life.
Got you. So you said something about, like, you're not going to get rich. You're not going to do that. I've seen, like, the ads of, like, in-home banking, be your own bank. Can you break that down?
Yeah, man. I mean, I got into index universal life policies. I got some big ones. I got them when I was younger. They're good policies. I have some cash value in them.
Yeah.
But it's my money I put in there.
Right.
There's still a cost of insurance. Some years they perform better than others. I think they're good policies when you're younger. They're just not for me to go ahead and decide, like, I'm going to go ahead and buy my cars and pay myself back and do. It depends on how much you're really overfunding them. And a lot of people, unfortunately, buy them and pay the minimum. So they'll be like, here's the minimum payment you can make every month. Well, if you overfund it, then certainly that's money you didn't even need to pay. So you gave it to the insurance carrier. There's going to be some kind of interest earned on it. But it's not like you open a policy. And I think the misnomer for people is like, well, I'm going to open it for $100 a month and I'm going to be rich. Yeah. No, dude, your cost of insurance is $80 a month. You have $20 a month. That's only $240 a year. Like, what do you think it's going to turn into?
Yeah.
And then they want to take it out as their own bank, and they're like, they got to wait so many years. So great policies. I just get nervous when we start trying to sell them as something they're really not.
Gotcha.
And I think what you need to do is break down. Anytime you look at an illustration, there's a guarantee and a non-guaranteed. You really only want to look at what the guaranteed is.
Yeah.
There's a non-guaranteed. That's cool. It's awesome. It'll show you some awesome interest rate. There's nothing wrong with that. But that ain't guaranteed.
Right.
The guarantee is what you hold on to. So you're telling me, Shawn, this is guaranteed. Yes. And it's probably going to be at 0%.
Yeah.
But it's going to show you exactly what you have. Like with the market last couple of years, what do you think they're paying out at? Nothing.
Yeah.
There's no money.
No money.
So I get it. Market goes up, you're sharing its gains. That's cool. And whenever I sold anything, I always say this to everybody I work with. I said to my kids a lot. I wanted to be able to go anywhere, a supermarket, an event, a ball game. And if I ran into anybody I was in business with that I sold a policy to, I wanted to be proud. Like, I wanted to be like, hey, there's my insurance guy. He'd be like, hey, what's up? Like, I never wanted to worry about what I sold them. Like, did I tell them exactly what it was? And people just want the truth. Yeah. They're cool with what they got to pay. Just don't bullshit them.
Right.
And I think that's where we got to get back to nowadays. This idea of saying, I'm going to be honest with you, has got people like, oh, I appreciate that. It's like, dude, what world do I live in? Like, we should be doing that. What are clients most afraid of when they buy something? It's not the price, it's being lied to. Yeah. They don't be lied to. Yeah. I mean, and the reality is you're selling value. And life insurance is great because when you're breaking down price, you're like, hey, dude, it's actuarial science. Right. The more the benefit, the more it costs. Gotcha. It's not like a car. I could buy a car for 30 grand that may actually be better than the car you bought for 44. Right. 100%. But the policy doesn't work that way. It's just science. Your health, your age, your benefit. The more you get, the more it costs. So it's really kind of from a pricing standpoint, it's easy to sell that way. Yeah, because even like hearing my mom with insurance, she was like, when you have a kid, I'm instantly taking a policy out on them. Like, she was like, we weren't taught these things. No, you know what I'm saying? 100%. So it's like, and she was like, this is what the rich people have been doing. Like, and that's what I always said. That's what my mom said. I'm like, she's like, I used to say to my clients, I'd be like, leave your neighborhood. Yeah. Drive 3 miles to that gated community. Right. They all got the shit. All got it. Why don't you bitch, moan, and complain about how you can't get ahead. Yeah. This is a way to put the next generation ahead. Yeah. It's one bill they don't have to pay. What you don't realize is how devastating 20 grand can be to a family.
Yeah.
Like devastated. My mom, they would do like, we didn't have GoFundMe back then.
Yeah.
But it was like, let's go down and have a dinner at the VFW. And it's like
the fish fry, basically.
Yeah, man. Like, what are we gonna raise? Like, and even as a kid, I'm like, what are y'all gonna raise? Like $600? You know? And then I don't know what the cremation or funeral was back then. And I think when I got life insurance, what really bothered me was I had older clients that would say to me, I want to be buried, but I can't afford it, so I'm just gonna be cremated. I'm thinking, you live your entire life and you actually want to be, like, you want a funeral, like you want to be buried, which your choice, whatever you want to do. But you're making a decision on what to do with your body based on $30 a month.
That's wild, right?
It's wild, which is a bigger problem in America. Like, how do we have so many people that are that broke?
Yeah, 100%. And then the mindset, too.
It's unbelievable.
Because life insurance is definitely a mindset. You know what I mean? And speaking about mindset, thinking about you and your businesses, can we just talk about life insurance strategies for business owners? Because I know from me being a business owner, Mom was always like, you need a big policy. Because I'm young, I'm in that growth stage, we're stacking up debt, we're buying stuff.
100%.
If something was to happen to me, can you speak about that?
Yeah, man. When I got into real estate heavy, I forgot my insurance license. And I would, every time I purchased a building, I had hundreds of commercial multifamily units. I would have enough insurance to cover all of it. And finally, when the guy I worked with, because I hadn't even really been that, I just got insurance. He was like, help me out. And he said to me, you need to do this. And I'm like, why would I do that? And he's like, Shawn, who's going to collect the rents? Who's going to do the maintenance? Your kids are too young. I mean, like, who's actually going to do this? And I was like, I didn't really think about this. He's like, but if you went ahead and covered everything, because again, being in business is great, but I had these liabilities. These houses were all mortgaged.
Yeah.
They might have had 20% equity, maybe not. Right. The bank loaned me the money, but I was like, all right, so I would take $1 million out here, $2 million out there. When you're a business owner, you need to think about all of that and protect everything you got. I mean, there's so many ways to do it. If you're in business with people, you can do a key man policy and something in your office. When I did partnerships with people, I'm like, dude, you got life insurance?
Yeah.
Like, well, dude, you're going to owe, if something happens to you, you're not going to work here anymore. You and I are partnered.
Yeah.
You need to take a policy out, and we need to talk to an insurance agent about who the beneficiary is, how can I get it, how am I key? So you have to think about all those things and just find somebody good that you trust. I mean, that's the other thing about insurance is the products are the products.
Yeah.
It's not, if listen, there are certain captive companies where you can only sell those products. I'm independent. We're independent. I like that. I can sell you multitudes of products, which I enjoy. If you find the right independent people, they're going to all have access to just about the same stuff.
Yeah.
So I think, but as a business owner, you need to think differently because you don't have, and even at work insurance, people are like, well, I have insurance through work. My very first death claim, I went and knocked on this lady's door. She wouldn't answer the phone. And I'll never forget this. Her name was Lisa. I remember it like it was yesterday. And she opened the door, and before I even said anything, she said, I have stage 4 pancreatic cancer. She's in her 30s. And she said, can you help me? And I said, what is your prognosis, if you don't mind me asking? She says, I won't be here in 3 months. I said, ma'am, I can't. I could write you a policy that will make you wait 2 years to live or to die. And you don't make it 2 years, they're just going to give you back what you paid, which is going to be like $80 a month. And it's going to be a really small death benefit. Like, I probably can't help you. She's like, hey, I appreciate your honesty. What a strong woman. 2 young kids. Her husband comes around the corner, doesn't know who I am, starts like freaking out, cussing me out. I'm like, relax, a big old dude. And she's like, relax. I filled this thing out. He was just stopping by to give me the information. He says, I told you nobody can help us. We need to stop looking into this. I look at him and I'm like, dude, why don't you get a policy? Okay, he freaks out again. And then she's like, you know what? You should. He goes, I have work insurance.
Yeah.
I said, well, dude, first of all, the work insurance is only good as long as you work there. It's probably not the death benefit you think it is. So he's going on and we go at it a little bit, arguing. I'm listening to him, making him feel good. Because guys are easy. They just want to feel like they're the big badass. So I make him feel good about himself. And I said, can you help me to her? And she sold the policy, not me. I wrote him a $250,000 policy, whatever day of the week it was. 2 days later, he dies on a motorcycle accident. He's driving to work, 30s. This animal runs out in front of me, lays the bike down, hits his head, dies instantly. She's still alive. She gets $250,000. His work policy was $5,000. I was going to do $5,000. Gave her $250,000, and a few months later, she died. The only money from her cancer. The only money that they had was that policy. Went to, I think, her sister who raised the kids. And after that, I was like, dude, it's a wrap. Because that guy, if you had asked me who to bet on anybody dying, I would never have taken a bet that dude was going to die.
Right.
I would have thought, like, he's a big dude. He's probably not going to live to 100, but give me 70 or 80. But not that he was going to die 48 or 72 hours after I met him.
Right. You was the angel in disguise.
It was crazy, dude. And we didn't even have an appointment either. You know, God is great. Like I was, I just was like driving. I saw the lead. I was like, these guys never answer the phone, knocked on the door.
Yeah.
And they were home. And he was late to work that day when he was supposed to be there. It's crazy.
That's wild. And that, you said something I wanted to touch on. Like, I hear a lot of people who, like, let's say if my mom was selling or something, they're like, I already got life insurance because my job. You know what I'm saying? Let's just, like, break that down. And most people who have that.
Well, it's not, dude, it's not yours.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing. It's not yours. It's your job's. And if you, especially in today's world, benefits change all the time. This isn't 1960.
Yeah.
In 1960, like our grandparents, like, dude, they had jobs that they stayed at for like 40, 50 years.
Right.
They had crazy good benefits, bunch of time off. They were they were well taken care of. It ain't like that anymore. Companies get bought, sold. And the problem with work insurance, number one, it's not yours, it's theirs. And number two, when you change, if leadership changes, job changes, you lose your job. When you try to go somewhere else, I've had people that have work insurance lose the work insurance just because they change benefits, which they have the right to do, by the way. It's their policy. They took it out on you. It's not yours.
Yeah.
They took it out. And if they change your benefits, all of a sudden, I've had people call me up and be like, I need life insurance. I'm like, okay, well, let's talk about your medical. I have cancer. I'm like, well, I can't get it for you. They're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, what do you mean? What do I mean? I can't get it for you. You have you have cancer, but I'm sorry. Well, I had a $200,000 policy. My job just took it away. Okay. And I also don't trust anyone. I'm thinking like, I wonder if they run people's health and like, cause dude, it's their policy.
It's theirs.
They have every right to cancel it whenever they want. So if you're banking on your work insurance, I mean, and again, I always say like, would you trust your employer to take care of your family if you die? Get your own insurance. If you have $5,000, $10,000, $50,000 at work, that's awesome. It's an extra benefit. Good for you. But you own this one. And again, are you going to die while you're working? Most of us aren't.
Yeah.
You're going to retire.
Yeah.
And then you definitely lose it.
Oh, so it's gone after
As
you.
far as most companies, you got to talk to your HR people, but most people I've talked to, when I had my jobs they don't carry you forever. They ain't stupid.
Yeah.
Like, you're no longer there. You're like more of a liability now. You ain't no asset.
Yeah.
It's no benefit to try to trick you into working. You retired.
Yeah.
And in today's world, how good are retirements?
Yeah.
They're not what they used to be, man. This is the generation of the entrepreneur. Like, you're going to have to do that if you want to get ahead.
Yeah.
You'll have to.
And then too, just thinking about like, it's mindset. It's so much education that isn't there because everyone thinks like, either I don't want to think about it, I don't need it, my job's got me. I mean, side note, my mailman broke his neck driving for the post office, and they said it was his fault. So when you think about a job not taking care of you, so if you're thinking about that, it's wild. The next question I want to ask you said that you got all types of products, right?
Yeah.
So if somebody's watching this and they're like, oh, I like his company. Is there any difference from going to an Allstate or a Geico and then like working with you? Like,
well, we're independent. It's only a difference. So whatever Geico has, I'm pretty sure they can only sell the Geico products. I think Allstate, same deal. I mean, they have great products. You have to just make sure you shop what you need to shop around. You might get life insurance and they might give you a quote. And I'm always a big fan of getting, I tell people that, like, what is the harm of getting more information?
Yeah.
Like, if you go ahead and you got an agent at X company and he's captive, because you're either captive or you're independent. If they're captive and you're like, man, I want to shop, the guy should welcome you or a girl should welcome you get another price. Get it.
yeah.
And see what the benefits are. Because every carrier's got their own nuances, right? Some are better with people that have diabetes. Some are better with people that have high cholesterol, blood. I mean, it depends on what you really got, what you're going on. Occupation. Some companies won't take people that have certain occupations. Some companies will. Criminal history. Some are like, don't really care within reason. Some are like, hey, if you have traffic tickets, that's a problem. So you got to know your carrier. The independent route's been good for me because I'm not captive and beholden to one company. So that's been really good. And all I do is life insurance. I don't do any property and casualty. I don't do anything else. So
straight life.
Straight life, man. Straight life. Straight life. Do some med sup, med advantage for some of those people, but most of what we do is life insurance.
Got you. And then now my entrepreneurial mind is just geeking out. How do you even start an insurance company? Like I've seen like when Warren Buffett bought Geico, he mainly bought it for the hold-in so you can invest the money.
Correct.
Yeah,
we so we're what's called an independent marketing organization.
Okay.
Right? So in 2013, December 12th, 2013, we launched that, Family First Life, which is an IMO. So we're not an insurance carrier.
Got you.
So we work with the insurance carriers, and we do really what they need us to do is sell the products. So they're great at building the products. They have all those advantages that Warren Buffett knows about and how they invest and what they can do with it and what they can't do with it. we work with them. So my job was to negotiate contracts with the insurance carriers, help build products with the insurance carriers, and then distribute those products to our clients.
Gotcha.
And they basically give me a little piece of it, pay all of our agents, managers, and they pay them directly. So our business has been great because everybody gets to make money, which is awesome. And my job, I always joked, my job was to, like Robin Hood, man, get it from the big guys and give it to the rest of us. And our concept, I met Arthur Blank, who owns the Falcons. Right? I don't know if he's a complete owner, I know he's a partial owner, I just know he's owner. And I was at a meeting probably 15 years ago. And now he's involved with launching Home Depot. And I was at a meeting, and I said to him, he said, anybody have any questions? I said, yeah, Mr. Blank, I have a question for you. If you give me one piece of advice, what would it be? And he said, well, when we launched, he called Home Depot HD. When we launched HD, we knew it would take some time. Like, we knew we were charging less. We were wholesaling everything in big box stores. We knew there was less margin. That was our concept. And we knew it was going to be a struggle for a while. But a little bit of a lot becomes a lot.
Right.
And so we launched insurance, the insurance marketing organization. My deal was like, I'm going to pay more compensation than anybody. So if you're selling life insurance right now and you're independent, you should hit me up.
Yeah.
Because I'll show you. You take the comp challenge to me, I'll show you. Like, we'll pay you more. And that was my concept. Matter of fact, we started paying so much, the insurance carriers are like, well, you're paying more than everybody else. I'm like, I have the right to do that. It's my money. I can take as much of my money and pay it to everybody. Shouldn't be your issue.
Yeah.
But the industry was so antiquated where they had like this compressed compensation program. And I was like, a little bit of a lot's going to be a lot. And it took a while to go ahead and build this thing up. But once you start, our first year we did 11 million, which everybody thought was pretty good. And this past year we did about 700 million paid business. And our goal is $1 billion.
Scale that? Like, how do you start year one to just do that?
We, straight up number of things. Number one, we have really good training. Like hands-on training. A lot of companies get top heavy. Nobody wants to work anymore. They're too big to do the small things. They'll become too small to do the big things. Nobody wants to do anything.
Right.
Ours was the sales training was done by the salespeople. Like that seemed to make sense to me. We didn't care like if you had 27 years of like seniority wasn't a big deal to me. Like, are you in the field and are you helping people? Yeah. Leads, you need to have good leads. We had a really good culture, very positive. We understood what we were doing. It was a passion of ours. It wasn't just like we need to make a sale. It was like we want to make a difference in people's lives. It was all about families protected, not money made, right? Yeah. And then the company, every decision we made had to be great for the client, the insurance client, great for the agent. It couldn't harm the company. And I think a lot of times the companies run it, what's great for the company, and then whatever trickles down is good. And most of those companies tend to implode after a while. So we just got crazy about recruiting. We were trying to disrupt the market. Yeah. Like we thought we would do it differently. We had a bunch of people who probably didn't look like they were going to be, you know, in the business. It's funny. I had Damon John at my event in Miami this past February. And he come out, spoke, he killed it, he was cool. But I'd asked him before, or we'd asked the people managing him, can he do a podcast? And he was like, they're like, yeah, he can, but it would cost this much. It was obnoxious. And I was like, dude, I'm not saying he's not good. I love him, but I ain't paying that for a podcast. Right. So he talks, comes off stage, I'm back. I'm like, hey, man, I go over, tell him how much I loved it because it was very good. Show him some love, thank him. And he's like, hey, man, thanks a lot. He says, did you want to do a podcast? I said, yeah, man, but in all due respect, I ain't paying that for a podcast. It ain't in the budget. Like, I love you. And he goes, no, man, I'll do it for free.
Yeah.
I was like, okay. So we go back. We had a temporary, little mobile podcast room set up. And I loved it. He looked at me and he said, do you know why I'm doing this for free? Which I love when people challenge me with stuff. And I was like, so I want to learn. So I said to my guys, I'm like, do you know why? I know why. I think I know, but I want to table this. I'll answer you. Do y'all know why? And they're like, oh, yeah, he really likes you. I'm like, this is bullshit. They ain't got nothing to do with me. So they have all these answers. I said, I think you went out there to speak and you saw the most diverse and eclectic insurance agency, financial services organization or meeting you've ever been to. He goes, exactly. I've never seen such diversity in this industry. That's actually been by far our biggest strength.
Gotcha.
By far.
Yeah.
And it's been great because it's a better representation of people across America. It's very much a middle American blue collar attitude. It don't matter if you have no experience. You want to get your insurance license, I'll show you how to do it. Doesn't matter if you've been selling for 10 years. You want to make more money, I'll show you how to do it.
Break that down, because I've always heard that's been like a bottleneck. Like, I want people, but they're not licensed. How do you just get around that?
So we pay for the licensing, which costs me quite a bit of money. We pay for it every month. So if somebody's like, hey, man, I want to get licensed. I'm here in Georgia. I go, all right, we'll send you the link. Here's the link. Get in the class. We pay for the class. Okay. You finish it. Then you're going to pay the state your exam fee. Give them a couple $100. They'll run your name, make sure you're okay, and they'll give you a license. But we have people finish. I mean, hell, I finished mine like in 4 days. Depends on what you really want to do. Yeah. Problem with a lot of people is they recruit everybody. I don't. I never understood that philosophy of
You're
just
like qualifying them first.
hell yeah, dude. I mean, what do you want to be? You want to try to beg everybody to do I don't care what your background is, if you have education or not, it doesn't matter. Do you have a desire to do it? Are you an accountable person? Do you actually appear like you want to do it? Why do you actually want to do it? Do you have any kind of work ethic and drive? And if you do, let's talk. And then my deal is, how bad do you need to do this? Like, if I do work with you, get your insurance license, are you actually going to do anything with it?
Yeah.
Because don't get your damn license if you're not doing anything with it. You're going to waste a couple weeks of your life and waste a couple $100. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
So, license, unlicensed, it's a pretty simple process. Like when I went to get my real estate license, that was 60 hours, I think, of principles and practices. 60 hours of classroom time before I could even get my license. So I was like, here, you take course online. You can knock it out in a couple of days.
Got you.
Pass it. They get a certificate of completion. You call them. I think a lot of the tests is done online too. You can do it virtually or go sit at a testing center. You pass that and you get licensed. You're good to go.
Got you. And was real estate before insurance?
Real estate before insurance.
So when you came into the insurance, you probably already had capital to like really do this.
Man, you know what's funny is I had some money, but I had done really well and I had some really bad. Like '08 was a tough year.
Yeah.
In the business. And people would always say to me, oh, that's why I got out of real estate, because the market crashed. I'm like, no, I got out of real estate because I wasn't prepared for the market change. Like, I'm crazy accountable. Like, it's my fault. Wasn't anybody else's fault, right? I had a lot of balls in the air. My last subdivision in '08, dude, I was selling. I developed the land. I put the road and all the infrastructure, utilities. The first
so you
lots,
were building neighborhoods.
I was building neighborhoods, bro.
Okay.
I was everything I could. And the first lots, I was selling those for probably $90,000 a lot, and then a full house package about $450. From then until '08 hits, market crashes, I sold the last 3 lots for $30,000 a piece. Just take them.
The house?
Just the lot.
Just the lot.
And house, I didn't even want to build. It was so bad. I'm like, dude, I'd probably get $200,000 for it. I'd lose more money. I was like, just get me out. So it was like, it was tough, dude. The price of oil went up. That's the other thing about it. Was the first road I put in, like public road. It was long. And I'll never forget, we're about 3/4 way through, and asphalt guy called me up. He's like, hey, man, the guy's doing the road. He goes, I just want to let you know, with everything that's happening here with oil, the price is going through the roof. And I was like, what's that got to do with me? He's like, well, you know what they make asphalt out of, right? And I was like, yeah, I know exactly what they make asphalt out of, asshole.
Right.
I said, but I have a quote from you, gave me a price. They don't say shit ass about the price of oil. So my suggestion is finish the freaking road. Right. I'm going to take that damn truck and finish it myself, and I ain't going to pay you shit.
Yeah.
But it was bad. Bad. That put him in a bad. It was just a tough time, dude. And so I had some capital, but I wasn't sitting great. You know, to be honest with you, I had a full-time job working in the state of Connecticut. I worked with abused, neglected children. That's what I actually did for 14 years as a social worker. I was doing real estate on the side. I loved my job. And then when I got my license, I was, I had a few bucks, but not a lot. And then when I launched the business, I put everything into it. So that's what people don't understand. They're like, you get a business that does $700 million a year. Yeah, but dude, I didn't barely draw a paycheck for first 4 years. But most people don't have that kind of grind in them.
Yeah.
Because if they don't get rich overnight, they quit. It's like everybody's like, people are like 25 years old. I should be further ahead. You're 25.
Yeah.
Dude, I didn't make $1 million a year until I was 43, I think. No, I've done really well, been very blessed, and money ain't no problem. And it's gotten a lot better since then. But, it's a grind.
Yeah, it's a grind.
And everybody wants it overnight. I'm going to build everybody wants to get rich. It's just like everybody's ready to fight till it's time to go outside.
They see the tip of the iceberg.
You better
never
believe
look
it.
at the bottom.
No.
Everything else happened. Like, how many sales reps did you have when you first started, though?
Dude, probably 50, 60 when we first started. We didn't have many. We just launched a company. I was tired of where I was working at. We launched a company, a few guys I knew, about 50 or 60. And that was the thing.
That's a lot, though, it sounds like. Were they all commission or something, or like what?
It was all commission.
Yeah.
All commission. But what was hard was like the 3rd or 4th month when we had like 500 join. And you realize, damn, we don't have the infrastructure. Yeah. Like, it all sounds great. That's where your money goes. So all of a sudden, it's like, you need a CRM to deliver leads, and you got to get them contracted, and then you got to be able to track the sales. And there's so much IT that goes to it that I never had to deal with before. It was just me selling life insurance. All I do is log into my website, and it had everything on there for me.
Yeah.
So there was so much I learned about all of that: accounts payable, accounts receivable. I mean, legal fees.
Was that probably the hardest part about just scaling up? Was like the infrastructure keep breaking every time you make more?
But I think 2 things screw people up. They won't put the money back in because they get it in the spend.
Yeah.
I was very disciplined. Like, I lived on what I was less than I'd making before. So I had guys in the company making $600,000, $800,000 a year, and I ran the company making a hell of a lot less than them. But I didn't care. I was like, this is the right thing to do. And the second thing is they don't know what they don't know. Like, if you don't know something, get somebody around you that does. So I found good people around me. And my deal was like, I can't pay you the money you deserve today, but stay with me, stay by my side, grind like I'm going to grind. I'm going to build this thing massively and take stupid good care of you. And I did, every one of them. Like, they might have been making 60 grand a year before, now they're making 300. You know what I mean? Like, I'll take good care of you, but you're going to have to grind with me.
What was the difference that you noticed from like 10 million to 700 million? Like, what's the big difference? Like, and let me break it down, because I got a guy who's in the course world, right? 12 million last year, and they're like, oh, we're going to 25 this year. That's kind of a jump, right?
It's a big jump.
12 to 25.
It's a big jump.
And then they're like, we're just going to spend more and spend more. And I'm like, no, I think you need a whole nother infrastructure.
Yeah.
Different types of people.
You need, first of all, to get there, you can't do it on your own. So you need leadership. I think a lot of times when we were at 10, there could have been 5 or 7 of us that were really leading people. To get to 700, I mean, that's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people, right? Yeah. So you need right leadership. People have to come with you. I think you need to look at, because a lot of times the answer isn't just spend more money. And that's like, a buddy of mine said that. I said, man, I wish I had more capital early on. He's a billionaire many times over. And he said, are you sure you do? I'm like, yeah, of course. He goes, what would you have done with it? Would you have even known where to put it? Because the answer always, spend more money. Okay, would you even have known where to put it? Because all those people that come in the ad spend, you still need to support them infrastructure-wise. And if your customer service isn't as good, then it don't matter. Then it's just you're bringing them in to bring them out. It doesn't even matter. But I think for me, I had to become a better leader. I had to get better at what I'm surrounding myself with the right people. I had to do better at delegating and allowing other people to lead the company in certain ways, because you can't be all things to all people. You know, when you're running a company with 300 people, it ain't like running it with 30,000.
Right.
You know, so learning to trust. You know, I always said find a good accountant, find a good attorney, and find somebody in your office you can trust, man. And if you can get those things, life gets really, really good. But it's growing pains. It's also asking other people that have grown businesses that big. I found guys that were doing what I wanted to do. They were doing $1 billion a year in revenue. I was like, well, talk to me about, and I asked them, what happened with this CRM? What happened with lead delivery? What'd you do on lead spend? What'd you do on ad spend?
Yeah.
What kind of staff am I missing? Here's how many I got now. What do you think I should scale it to? Should we do bonuses? Should we not? What else should we be thinking about tax-wise? Yeah. You know, so, but getting around people that are smart, and I always call it ingratiating yourself to their mentorship.
Got you. You said you love leads, right?
Love them.
So in an insurance business, or in any business, but mainly for yours, what's your lead system? Because I run ads for people. So for mine, we just run ads, right?
Correct.
For you, what is your lead look like?
There's definitely, it's a new world, right? When I started, it was all direct mail.
Yeah.
Then that transitioned to internet leads. You know, there's a few bigger companies out. Now there's tons of engines that create leads. Facebook got really big. Your ad spend on there, that's a really big place that would pick up leads. YouTube. Yeah. So and now what's been great with us, it's like, dude, we don't care where you get the leads as long as they're compliant. Yeah. So there's so many people that do it. So if you're like, man, my ad, I can create this ad for this much. Well, if your price is better than that guy, we'll do business with you. Facts. You know, can you put that? Can you continue to give us the leads too? Because a lot of times they can do it for a month or two. Yeah. And they can't do it anymore. I'm like, dude, they ain't get good to me, to the customer, to the client, to the insurance agent. It's not good to anybody, because like we can't get ahead if you do it that way. Right. You know, so multitudes of ways. And I think that's part of the growth too, being open. You can't kind of try to control everything. You can't, man. As long as everybody's being compliant, you gotta let people be independent. You know, early on it was like, I've seen other companies where they want to control all the leads. Yeah. And I'm like, well, dude, they're independent agents. If
that's how the big conglomerates are. I hear about it all the time. Yeah.
But not me. I want to get bigger than all of them. Yeah. Because they're trying to milk everything out of everything. They want to control everything, make $1 on everything. Everything that they touch, they want to control it. And I'm like, why don't we just get big and bad and be an independent deal? I make a little bit of a lot. We get good. You can get rich as can be. You can sell your company one day. You own it. So it's, you know, that's where the ads come from.
Got you, 100%. When you look at somebody that signs on, what's kind of like the lifetime value of them? And the reason why I ask is because running ads, my people are always like, $5 cost per lead. That's the goal. We don't want to go over it. This isn't that. So running ads, that's always what I'm fighting, is making sure that cost per lead is profitable for the, for the business.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it's a client lead, right, the average policy is going to pay is $1,000, right? So if their commission is at 100, they're going to get $1,000 over the course of that first year on the policy. 70% of those policies stay on the books, so you have to do some of that math there. So they buy. Now the question is, how many will they get in contact with? And the bigger thing is, what's the contact rate and what's the quality? Right. I mean, I understand what people want to do. If it's an agent, we don't do a lot of recruiting leads. Most of ours are client leads. We did recruiting leads for a while, but it's hard to track, because we had people that could produce tons of recruiting leads, but it was just getting people to check a box. Yeah. They didn't want to work anywhere. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't care if it's $2 a lead.
Yeah.
If the guy's like, dude, I was on clicking on Taco Bell ad and now I'm here with you. Like, so most of our leads are purely client leads. And you kind of got to look, and the way I looked at it was, if you could make one sale in that batch, if you spent $1,000 and you made 2 sales and one of them canceled, there's your money back.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the mindset for the insurance. The problem is, again, everybody wants to get rich.
Right.
So it's like, but I want to make $5,000 a week in my first lead spend.
Yeah.
Okay, dude, that's not the way business works. And everybody goes, well, what's the biggest lesson in the first 2 years of business? Everybody goes, to stay in business.
Yeah.
Except when they get in business, and then their friends like, you've been doing this 3 months, why ain't you rich? They're like, I should be rich. And then their mom's like, you ain't even rich yet. And they're like, I know, I should be rich, right? And they're like, I need to be rich. It's like, it's been 92 days, bro.
Right. Calm down.
92 days, man. Relax.
So when you build such a big business and you've got, how many employees do you have?
We have at the corporate office 42 employees. Cumulatively with all the agents we have the agencies across the country, we probably have about 405, somewhere in there.
So when you have all that staff, all of those clients extending from that staff, does it just create like a whirlpool of leads that are just throwing themselves in because there's so many people talking about you now? You know, that's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, we do. We've certainly a lot of that. The problem with lead business with a lot of people is they forget about that, though. They get spoiled. So like when I got in the business, I had to do not cold call, but warm market.
Yeah.
I had to call people I knew. They were my friends. They were family. I had to cultivate my own leads to get going.
Right.
So I knew, like, I got leads after that, but it was like when I first started, I was like, okay, I got some leads. We didn't have that many leads where I was. And a lot of folks, problem with lead gen is people understand it's their job to get the referrals from the lead. So the answer for lead spend is how hard are you going to work it?
Right.
I can produce it for $5. I can produce it for 15, but your one lead shouldn't be one lead.
Right.
You should get multiple referrals from that lead. So the question is, what do you
Extend it.
Yeah, what are you doing to monetize the lead? So if I get the lead, I'm like, okay, this is going to be Miss Susan, but it's going to be Miss Susan's neighbors, her friends, her kids, her mom, her dad, like everybody. So now my one lead that might have cost me $15 might be 7 leads.
Yeah.
That's how I always saw it.
How do you milk the lead?
Yeah, and you have to understand that. So I think that's always the thing. Everybody wants the lead to be magical. What are you going to do when you get the lead?
Right.
How hard are you going to work when you get the lead? Because if I call the same lead, if you call Final Expense lead and you sell them, and then I call him and go, hey, man, I got this thing. He goes, I already took care of it, dude. Tony came out. I go, all right, cool. Did Tony take care of all your needs? Yeah, no, he was good. Got a life insurance. All right. Did he give you like an emergency response system in case something happens to you? He'd be like, no, I don't even know what that is. All right, man, I'll see you tomorrow at noon. I got your address right here. I don't know why Tony would do it. I don't even know who Tony is. I'm going to come out and see you tomorrow. Then I come out and go, listen, I got to get a network of friends and family in case something happens to you. Now I'm independent. Maybe I can save him $5 a month, $10 a month, $20 a month. If I can, I write him a policy. Then I go, hey, did I need names of 7 or 8 people you know? Because your wife's probably not going to be the first one that wants to call me in the event of a death. She'll be destroyed. So I need some folks I can call and get on the phone and get them to kind of help me with getting the benefit. That extends it. And then write it like, why didn't Tony do that? I'm like, no idea why Tony did that. Tony's probably selfish. Don't even know. I don't care. You know what I mean? Don't matter to me. Tony's gone. Don't worry about Tony. You know? And then if Tony calls back, tell me you should work with me. I would have taught him how to do this.
Facts.
So that's the problem, is this tunnel vision with leads.
Yeah, 100%. And you building this big company, what do you notice? Like, because I didn't even see, like, with myself in business, right? It goes from a point to where it's like, you're really in the trenches, and then you start saying, oh, now I'm building systems so I can keep this team going. What do you kind of notice as you're stacking up with all those employees? What it's like just trying to, what fires are you managing that scale with all these people involved now when it was versus when it was just like a smaller team?
Yeah, you got to find the good people, the leaders.
Yeah.
And the leaders, you got to take better care of them.
Yeah.
And you got to challenge them and help them develop.
So that they
you
can.
know, 100%. So as you're growing this thing, every once in a while you like pull this guy aside, this girl aside and say, hey, here's what I see in you. Here's the added responsibility I want to get. Here's the added pay you'll get. I'm a big fan of bonuses.
Yeah.
Earned bonuses.
Yeah.
Here's a number. Hit a goal. Here's what we get.
Gotcha.
Bring the staff in. If you got 8 of them, you want them all to be on the same page. We did this number last month. We start hitting this number monthly. You each get this.
Yeah.
Well, I'm in this, and he's in ads, and he runs ads. He's in marketing, but I'm a recruiter. Okay, we're all on the same team, right?
Right.
We're all pulling together. We hit the number. Y'all get the money. So, but it's also developing. I had all these people start at the same time, so I had to find a few, and they were very young. Like, dude, you're going to need to kind of help lead the company. And here's what I'm going to give you when you do it, but you're going to have to help me in this capacity run the office. I can't be all things to all people because now I'm busy doing all kinds of other stuff I never anticipated I'd be doing.
Yeah, 100%. And then with you having people, like you said, you have people making 600, 700, 800 as a salesperson for your business. You're super successful. Since it's an entrepreneur show, what type of like wealth strategies have you found to like mitigate all this money that's coming in?
Man, I'm gonna tell you what, having a really good accountant is huge.
Yeah.
You know, you don't mess with the U.S. government. They print their own money and they won 2 world wars. So
Yeah.
there's a lot of really amazing, you know, who would have known if you buy a jet, the depreciation works that way? Well, I didn't know until I found an aviation accountant. You know what I mean? Same thing when I end up getting a boat. And can you charter it? Can you not? And you find an accountant. There's specialties there, but don't be afraid to have good people, pay good people to be around you, right? And then, you know, when you start making serious money, dude, the best advice I got is find somebody at one of the big brokerages. I'm sorry, but it ain't going to be the guy down at the Midway Plaza. Tommy's Financial Services. It's going to be a Goldman Sachs, Morgan Stanley, JP Morgan. It's just the way it works. And the products they have are unbelievable. So finding somebody you can trust there, get with somebody you know that has money. That's what I did. I was like, I met a guy who wanted to buy one of my businesses, and when he did, I knew he was already like, he was a billionaire. I was like, who manages your money? He's like, so-and-so. I said, let's call him. He's like, when? I'm like, right now. We called him up on speakerphone. I was like, hey man, you manage so-and-so's money? He's like, yeah. I'm like, you manage mine? He's like, yeah. I was like, we're in. You know what I mean? So I want to know what everybody else that's in the know is doing, and I want to get around those people, you know, and then you sit down and be honest with them about your strategy, man. You want to play around the market, play around with it if you can. I play around with it too for fun, but with my fun money. Not my money for my family. This is what they do all day long, every day. They run these reports. They pay attention to this shit. They can speculate, evaluate. I mean, this is their hypothesis. They're not just guessing. They get it, man. They have the data. And I also knew I was all about taking some money that I wanted to be more aggressive with. But you start getting a certain place, man. Tax-free municipal bonds blew my mind. Like, you will give me this much income a month and my principal remains and it's tax-free.
Wild, right?
Okay, well, I'll do that. Like, are you serious? Like, yeah, here's the money I'll spit out every month. I'm like, then my principal remains. Yes. So I take this out every month, not being taxed, but it blew my mind. So finding good people you can trust and letting them handle it. So the problem is a lot of people are like, well, I don't trust anybody. I trust my uncle. Good luck with that. You know, and it's such a highly regulated industry. I mean, dude, my guy calls me. He's like, got to call me. Then he's got to send me an email. And I'm like, dude, I saw the email. I know I need to make record. I called you to make this trade. I mean, you know, so I think just be smart.
Be smart.
Yeah, man. Surround yourself with good people.
And as you're going up this ladder of success, the question I'm going to ask is, everyone's chasing success, right? You've reached crazy milestones for what normal people like myself would think, right? What still motivates you to like keep going and inspires you?
Dude, it's funny. I was on a podcast earlier, and the guy asked me what my income goal was. Like, when did I have one? I said, I've never had one. Never. In my 20s, I want to make $100,000 a year because I thought back then that was really good money, and I'd do better than anybody in my family ever did. What's been driving me, though, Tony, honestly, is helping other people achieve. You know, the greatest thing about being able to do some of the stuff I've done with my company is I had a bunch of other people do the same thing. So they're like, dude, I own my entire company. I can sell it to my entire book, all the stuff I do. Yeah, you can monetize it yourself. You can make a bunch of money. So creating wealth for other people motivates me. I got to keep moving or I'll like hate myself. I can't sit around. Like I'll freak out. I lose my mind. I'm not good at it. But it's really, number one, I have a chip on my shoulder because growing up, everybody told me I couldn't do it. Everybody. And my mom worked 3 jobs, single mom, great lady. We was broke as shit. I know what people thought about me. I always use that and motivate me. I think the only reason they were decent to me is I was a good athlete. And people were like, man, he was nice to you. Yeah, because I was football and baseball. Yes, sir. And I was like, dude, and I wasn't stupid. I knew why. I knew why so-and-so's dad liked me. Because I was a fucking better athlete than his kid, and I was on his kid's team. And if I blocked for his son, he would score more. And if I tackled dudes, they wouldn't even get to his skinny ass at safety because they wouldn't get by me. So he was nice to me because it benefited him, and I was fine with it. But I wore people out. I asked them questions. I interviewed them, even young, man. I wanted to know what. And what's funny about sales is what I found as a young kid is the dudes that I knew that kids played ball with me or around me that were making good money were in sales. So everything came back. I run a sales organization. I'm a salesperson. And I'm not saying they were billionaires, but hell, we didn't have a house. We didn't have no money. They had houses. They had 2 cars. A lot of times the mom didn't work. I'm like, dude, give me some of that. Like, how is that working out? What do you got to do to get there, man? So it was never the income. It's the juice of, it's the chip on my shoulder. I want to grow this thing bigger and better. I want to see people grow their business as big as my business that work with us. And I want to pay it forward, man. I like to give back money. That's important to me. We donate a lot of money, and I like that. That's really, and I want to be able to help out as many people as I can to make a difference, man. We're here once physically, dude. I want to, I want to ride this mother effort till the wheels fall off.
Yeah. So, I mean, shoot, as we get to the conclusion, how do people like tap in and work for Family First Life? Like, and why should they?
Yeah, man. Well, first of all, you can find me on Instagram, and it's Shawn, SHAWN. Last name's Meaike. You can send me a message. I'll point you in the direction with somebody. FamilyFirstLife.com is our website. You can find us there. As a company, we run it. I was a sales guy in insurance for 6 years full time. Most people that run companies have never sold anything. We treat our agents better. Yes, monetarily, 100%. Yes, we pay them higher. We pay ridiculous bonuses every month, which I've not seen anybody else pay. We share a hell of a lot more money than other people do. Cool. And that's definitely important. That should be important. But also the culture is you can be independent. We're going to shoot you straight and teach you how to do this thing. We'll help challenge you. We'll meet you where you're at. We'll be innovative when it comes to leads and stay out in front of them. We'll be eclectic, let you do your thing, let you be independent and support the living hell out of you. And I think that the results speak for themselves.
Yeah.
And for me, I think we're a sales organization run by salespeople. So when I'm asking you to do something, I've done it. I'm not a fan of if you've never done it, don't tell me how to do it.
Right.
If you've done it, I'm listening. You don't have to have been an All-American. I don't care. But if you didn't put a helmet on, don't damn come coach my kid in football.
Yeah.
Don't come talk to me about football because you watch the NFL or play fantasy football. If you've never strapped up, don't tell me what to do.
Right.
And I think that for me, that's why I love Family First Life, love the people we have, love the culture we got. And we also have some amazing leadership all over the country. So wherever you're at, if you hit me up, I'll connect you with somebody so they can get you information.
Okay. And one question I forgot to ask,
Sure.
like for business owners, people watching this show, what's a good example that you've seen, and this is for my business owners to join you, where you're like, yo, life insurance saved your ass?
Life insurance, as far as them buying it, or as far as
in a business. Well, I guess you wouldn't because it would be only death, right? Like this life insurance when they bought it as a strategy to protect themselves.
I think I've seen people do it. Obviously, they're not the one that died, but they've done it whether it's been a husband and wife that run a business together, and they're both of equal value.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, dude, you're going to need to find a way to replace that. That person's income is very important. Or if there's staff and they've kind of done some kind of key man thing, like this guy this guy runs the whole company. Well, his life is valuable. Sorry. Like he has his own insurance. Are you going to take something out on him? Like, can you structure that properly? So he's okay if something happens. Or to your point with real estate, let's say you and your wife owned all kinds of real estate and you had 2 kids that were 10 and 8.
Yeah.
And you died, and you were the one running it. Well, what if you left enough to pay off the houses?
Yeah.
That would make a difference as a business owner. Now, the kids get to keep the income. You are paying the taxes on them, the rent. So I've seen that happen.
Yeah.
And that's kept small businesses alive for those reasons.
Got you. And last question before we dip out, what do you want people to know just about life insurance? Why should they just click the link in this and just go ahead and sign up?
I think that it's probably it's probably the single biggest thing that separates people from having a better financial life. And I think generationally, you can generationally bless your family or you can curse it, because you get enough people die with no life insurance, and the damage is irreparable. It's awful. It really is. And I think that, again, for me, you got a spouse, you got kids, you got grandkids, you got nieces, nephews, mom, dad. Dude, most of us, we don't want to be selfish. We really don't.
Yeah.
And again, it's the most selfless thing you'll do. And I always think about, what could you leave? I mean, dude, you could take out a policy and leave money for your grandkids they don't even know about. You could do some amazing things for people that blesses them for generations and takes the burden off some other folks, man, especially if you get it younger. So I think it's something you got to get educated on, and you got to make sure that you understand how selfless you got to be. And, think about what people say after you're gone. That's the other thing. What do you want them to say, man?
Right.
Look what Grandpa did to help put us ahead. I meet a lot of people are like, yeah, my grandpa built this. He left us this. He did this over here. My grandpa did this, or my mom and dad did. That's got to be a pretty cool thing.
Yeah. So like when someone passes away, I think just because I've seen it's just, they could get a check of $500,000, and it's just now you went from normal living to a whole different family.
Amen.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Where can they find you at, Shawn? Let them know one more time.
Podcast I got is Punch Me in the Face. I'd love to have you on there one day, man. Talk about what you did, be great. Instagram, YouTube, Punch Me in the Face. And again, Instagram is just my first and last name, SHAWN, Come on, follow, subscribe. We'd love to have you, man.
Okay, dope. Y'all heard him. Family First Life. Make sure y'all tap in. Click the links in this description. I'll see y'all in the next episode. Peace.
Thank you, man.
All right.